Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance. In this resistance video, sponsored by contribution from Anonymous. And here's his story. Hi, Ollie. I was listening to your video from today entitled "You'll Never Gain the Narcissist Allegiance." I'm glad you're back making videos like this, just in time to save my sanity as the holidays approach. This video got me motivated to write some of my story today. This story from Anonymous reminded me of the way I used to write letters to my parents and later occasionally to some siblings. My basic situation is being a lifetime scapegoat of my family of origin. Both parents passed away and 4 siblings remain. The situation of trying to think of examples of scapegoating behavior of my 4 siblings has been a little tricky, when essentially it is not so much what they did in the past and do in the present as it is what they did not do in the past and still don't do in the present. Right, abuse through omission. Happens all the time. Abuse through neglect, abuse through omission, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if this dysfunction has been coming down through the generations or what, but what I do know that my father seemed to have a lot of narc traits and mood disorders and too much working pressure and a wife enabler, etc. I'm not into blaming because I know people do terrible things partly depending on how much pressure they are under. So for whatever reasons, he really started hating me from when I was very young. And the hating just got worse as I got older. When I was in 8th grade, I brought home a bad report card. Both my parents got me alone and verbally attacked me in a lot of ugly ways for quite a while as I just cried. At that point, I made a life-changing decision to do badly in school on purpose in order to try to hurt my parents. Big mistake. My mom had always loved me and been on my side, but turned away from me physically and emotionally when I was about 5. She was just the first to join in on the scapegoating. My 4 siblings took longer, but by the time I was in my late teens, they were all happily projecting all the massive family dysfunction onto me. Unfortunately, I was clueless and a little like the person whose story you read today. We all are. Listen, we're all clueless when it's happening to us. We're angry, we're a fucking bundle of emotions, okay, because we don't understand what's going on, because we were kids at the time. I tried for years to make it better and rescue them from themselves and educate them. And I was making all the mistakes that innocent scapegoats sometimes make. Right. Well, the only mistake you're making is trying to help them in the first place. Because in your attempts to help them is where their abuse, it feeds their abuse, it grows their abuse, it's the fuel they need. Your helping them is their fuel. And that's why it just gets worse and worse and worse. The only way you win is not to play the game. Walk away. Fortunately, the internet and YouTube came to the rescue after decades of me inadvertently and very actively enabling their abuse. One thing about my situation that I haven't seen much of in other videos about narcissistic abuse is the way it affected me physically. Starting around the age 23, I started having frequent bouts of nausea and vomiting. These episodes of pain would occur about twice a week and usually last about 24 to 48 hours. It became very hard to get anything done as I was spending more than half of my time either in one of these episodes or recovering from an episode. Looking back now, decades later, it actually is fascinating to recall the way even distant relatives all eventually had been somehow taught that I was a bad person and deserved to be treated badly. LOL. That LOL might seem out of place, but I just laugh now as I'm relatively so happy these days because all these people on the internet educating me about family systems, narcissism, scapegoating, etc. Heavy duty, all out, no compromise, no contact is the answer and the way to go in most of these kinds of situations, and definitely in my situation. Shit, how I wish I knew all this stuff decades ago. especially equally though, I'm so happy now because better late than never. Exactly. Look, you need a certain amount of maturity and life experience to really be able to grasp any sort of understanding of your past and what's gone on. And here's the thing you got to realize, okay? Anybody who's going to believe you're a bad person as a child, they're not worth your fucking time anyway. I've said this a million times. Anybody who's just going to believe the narcissist without coming to you and getting your side of the story first is doing you a fucking favor. Thank you for showing me right now that you're a backstabbing fuckwad that I need to keep out of my life. You've done me a favor. Thank you. It's kind of like when you should be thanking the Klan when they're out there in their hoods, or anybody waving a Nazi flag around, because they're telling you who they are. You don't gotta guess. You know that's a racist fucking asshole. You don't gotta go near them. Same thing here. Same thing here. Be happy when the enablers tell you who they are, because they're only gonna fucking stab you in the back at some other time in your life if you keep them around. And you're right, better late than never. One thing I've realized, thanks to YouTube video makers on this subject, is that there is no reason for me to feel guilty about going no contact, because not going no contact is just enabling the sick behavior of the toxic abusers. Not going no contact is actually reinforcing their abusive and trance-like behavior. I'm just writing this part because the whole guilt thing has been my main struggle in all of this. And because you have been helping me not to feel guilty, to do what I need to do, and to take better care of myself. Look, man. The guilt thing is something that I never felt guilty about it. I was more scared and alone that, I'm incompetent and I can't do anything on my own. The guilt thing's a little different for me, because I just never felt guilt towards them, because I knew they were always shit and always wronging me. Okay? And I think you know this already. You have nothing to feel guilty about. If there's any guilt, it's theirs. Don't own their guilt, it's their guilt. But they don't feel guilt, and that's the problem. Why? Because they're fucking narcissistic, sociopathic terminators programmed to do only one thing: destroy, destroy, destroy. In today's Allegiance video, it was awesome when you said your daughter should have no contact with any of them. Why? Because they're dangerous. That comment is just right on. That section of the video really clicked with me, because the most important reason to go no contact with the family of origin is so that they won't pass their toxic emotional distress to my new family. Exactly. You have to break the cycle. At some point, one of us has to say, I'm ending this. I am going to fuck up this cycle and break it. That's what these channels are all about. That's what people are on here doing. They're trying to end the cycle. In other words, if the family of origin siblings came around, they would have an agenda to teach my current family, new family, that I'm a scapegoat and I should be treated like shit. Exactly. They will just turn anybody you've brought into your life new. They will just try to train them to carry on the same abuse they've been perpetuating on you your entire life. The only way you win is not to play, because everything that come at you is going to be a lie and a gaslight, and you're going to have to explain yourself. And let's just face it here, you're still pissed at them. You have a right to be. You don't trust them, you know they're dangerous, and you know the only way you deal with them is to keep them as far away as possible. It's the only way you beat it, by not engaging. I know there are wildly different opinions about how consciously or unconsciously they would try to do this, but that doesn't matter. Oh, it's conscious. It's not unconscious. Oh, please, oh, please, oh, please, oh, please, oh, please. Understand this. The narcissist does nothing unconsciously. Nothing. They'd love for you to believe that, and I don't know how many times I've caught my father, and so many things. Oh, it's like it was unconscious and that didn't happen. And then weeks later, days later, whatever, you find something that's like, this motherfucker knew the entire time. There's nothing unconscious about it. But at that point, if you bring it up, now you're bringing up old shit, aren't you? And you're the problem, you're crazy, you're just out to cause problems. The only way you win is not to fucking play. Because anything you say, do in front of them, say to them, about them, to your children, any interaction they witness can be used against you at any given time, at any date, at any moment, at a moment's notice. The fact is, it would be dangerous to have them around. Right on, Ollie. I don't get tired of you saying no contact. Keep saying it even a lot more if you want. All the best to you and Charlene and your channel. Another anonymous true storyteller. Well, thank you for your story. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate, letting everybody know what you're getting out of the channel too, as well. Like, you pretty much got this down, man. Just don't ever believe that there's no coincidences in narcissism. There's no coincidences. There's no unconscious behavior. There's no unconscious anything. These people plant seeds all the time. They never stop. See, and they remember. And then they'll come back and they'll say, oh yeah, you remember like a year ago we were having that conversation and I said this and that. Yeah. That's what they do. And now you're crazy. They do it all the time. The narcissist does nothing unconsciously. Nothing. Always remember that. Always remember the only way you win is not to play. And always remember that these people are all dangerous. All of them. So, thank you so much for your contribution. Thank you for your story. I hope this helped. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, or what comes after private video? I'm having a day today. A Skype, a phone call, a private video, or a Facebook live chat. Or you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it. Or you'd just like to make a contribution to the channel in general, see it grow, expand, and succeed. Because remember, this channel is sponsored 100% by contributions from all of you. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more of it, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been The Narcissistic Resistance. Thanks.